Gen Z, even if they even want to work, do not want to interact with human beings. So if you can do online scheduling and they don't have to pick up the phone and it's scary, talk to a person.
All right, so I figured, Alex, we could bring someone on the podcast today who I've probably bugged way too much because he gave me his cell number a while back. And I feel like that's like the number one thing you don't do if you run a business is give your clients a cell number.
Not to Eric.
Right? But one thing I've just never really been good at is anything IT related or computers, right? Like, I feel like when I was younger, like I was always the kid. It was like when it was like TVs and it was like, oh yeah, you need to put like your AV plug in here. But I was just doing that with my parents. So like my reference point was like someone 30 years older than me that had no idea. So I probably thought I was this genius and I was just terrible. But I figured we could bring Reuben on just because I feel like we've been hearing so much more about hacks happening and like just these targeted things that are happening with AI coming in and trying to hack you and do all that kind of stuff. So Reuben is the owner of Darkhorse Tech, who we've used for, I don't know, since we did our startups pretty much, or like right after.
Yeah.
Actually, we used him once we got hacked. So we got hacked by a different company, and then we hired Reuben, and we haven't been hacked since. So if there's a good little plug for you, it's
proofs in the pudding.
Haven't been hacked yet. So thanks for coming on, Reuben.
Yeah.
That is a great title for this podcast. Haven't been hacked yet?
Yeah, well, I can't say that. I mean, haven't been hacked since.
That's true.
Since, twice.
No, thank you guys for having me on. I live, breathe, and eat dental IT. This is my niche. The cell phone thing, it's all starts so innocent in the beginning, right? You give everyone your cell phone. Yeah. You might accidentally have Vistaprint and put it on mouse pads. Now it's literally everywhere, and it's always there. And then you get really busy, and then you're like, wow, maybe that wasn't such a great idea. But Eric still has my cell phone.
Yeah.
But I know. It's like, oh no, the Wi-Fi out. It's like, oh, call Reuben. It's like, okay, can we like troubleshoot this a little bit more
I'm
before?
definitely like the type.
No,
I'm the type who's like, well, yeah, they didn't respond in 5 seconds. Okay, now I'll just touch phone.
No. No, it's like, okay, how about you like plug it in and plug it out? You like do something with that, but no.
Yeah.
But no, I figured it would be pretty cool to have you on to talk because I think, like I was saying, a lot of us are dealing with all of this, like, we're scared of getting hacked. It's like happening more often now. Like I was saying earlier, with like AI getting more prevalent, like it seems like we're probably even more exposed as like these small businesses that don't possibly have the security of like, a huge company like Google or someone like that can protect us. And we're probably low-hanging fruit for a lot of these people. So I was thinking it would be really cool if you could kind of go through and maybe tell us a story of like someone who has gotten hacked, right? You don't have to say names or anything like that, but like how people are actually doing it, and then like how do we actually protect ourselves?
Absolutely. So we'll protect the innocent. Absolutely. There's no reason to drag someone back down that pathway. It really starts with dental as an industry. We do lag a little bit behind the times when you look at percentage of offices that are fully cloud-based natively versus local server-based. And part of the reason is Open Dental is so dang good that it is like almost single-handedly kept servers alive in the dental industry.
Okay. Yeah.
We have 80% of dentists using local server-based, either Dentrix, EagleSoft, Open Dental, some Carestream products, and only 20% or less are cloud or DSO, self-hosted, stuff like that. So it is a ripe industry for hacking, for being targeted. We're also dealing with small businesses, right, that don't have the sophistication to afford putting their practice behind like Microsoft's full vault of security tools. So we have to scale it down. We have to be as, what you guys keep in your practice, you have to supposedly protect it the same way a hospital does with a full IT staff. and compliance people and the best training they have. And so that's what makes dental really hard, but also makes it a very prime target for these hackers to go after. And
Hold on. We lost internet.
Honestly, hackers are a lot like someone who's looking to break into your home, right? They don't want you to be home, want you to be on vacation, your dogs are at the kennel, and they just want to like break in, take what they need and leave. So when we look at what we'll call like the anatomy of a hack, we're really not talking about someone who's like in a dark room with like, lines of code like the Matrix, brute forcing their way in. They're more looking for an easy way in. So
okay.
Yeah. That makes sense.
That makes sense.
Everything we do is path of least resistance, right? So I could see them being like, oh, well, for example, they probably have someone at the front who's like my mom's age who doesn't know any better, and you could easily like change a number or change something on an invoice really easily, and it would just, you could just get in that way. So break it down for us. Tell us an actual story and like kind of how it happened.
Yeah. So first I just will ask, let's have some compassion for the ladies or guys at the front desk, because there's phones, there's patients checking out, there's emails coming in, they're trying to check people out. And then an email comes through and their brain is not 100% focused on, is this legit? Is this not? Right. So, and we'll get into AI in that role, the white hat and the black hat of AI, the good and the bad. But the sophistication of the emails coming in are growing exponentially, where we're not talking about all caps Prince of Nigeria stuff. We're talking about AI knows about your website, knows your staff. You put your staff's bio on there, knows they knows they live in this city and have a husband and kids and have dogs. And so when they send an email that looks like it's from UPS about a package ready to be picked up and they click on it, it's a really hard situation, right? Once they click on it, we can talk about what happens after that and what needs to be in place for you as a business owner to still be protected, even if your staff clicks on the link. But as with most hacks, and as we were kind of talking about with someone just like breaking into your house, if someone is paying a ransom, it is because, well, minimum, they didn't have a backup system. Otherwise, you would just restore from your backup and tell the guys to take a hike.
Yeah. I
don't have to pay you. I have my data. So you see Shine, you see Aspen Dental, you see Change Healthcare writing a check for $22 million. They didn't have backups. That's it.
That's crazy. Is that as simple as that? Like just no.
That's it.
There's nothing backed up.
So it's like, that's nuts. Yeah.
So what it tells us two things. It tells us they didn't have the security controls to stop when the staff clicked on that link. They didn't have the security controls to stop it from proliferating throughout the network. But then most importantly, like if you're going to have one thing, have a backup system, because then you don't have to write a check and deal with the patient health information, the OCR, Office of Civil Rights, and federal government, all that stuff. So this is how hacks happen, right? True story. That UPS email came through. Staff clicked on it. And this was a practice where the doctor had his buddy, Brad, doing the IT, right? And this doctor likes Brad. Brad comes in, he's nice to the staff, and just assumes Brad knows healthcare IT and the compliance requirements. And they just had the free Windows Defender antivirus on their computers. So when the staff clicked on that link to download what she thought was a label and it ended up being ransomware, it just ransacked throughout the entire practice, locking every single computer down. This was a Open Dental office, Open Dental Dexis office. So no Open Dental, no imaging. And then it started to, and this is something that's relatively new with ransomware, exfiltration. And I'll get into why that is such a big deal now. Because
what is that?
Okay, so scenario A, ransomware is on your network. It locks the files, but it never leaves your office.
Okay.
You restore from a backup, and you don't have to. It's not a breach.
Yeah.
Your patient health information was never accessed by a provider. The files were corrupted. You restored from the files. Okay. Scenario 2, not only are your files changed, locked down, now let's say it's happening in the middle of the night and you don't know it's happening, it's being sent off-site to North Korea, to China, to Russia. And now we have a breach situation because we have patient health information now leaving your practice and going to somebody it should not be going to. That is probably the number one scary thing that's happening right now is that one change.
So so when that happened to us, right, when we got hacked,
yes,
all of our stuff stayed, from what I remember, still within the office because they did an investigation and they said you don't have to send a letter to the patients because there was no HIPAA violations. They were just locking the information and they wanted money for it, right? That was
correct.
That was what they wanted.
So yeah, that's scenario 1. Yeah.
Yeah. And so you guys are an awesome place to be there. That's like this happened, there was downtime.
Oh, so it was a good thing. Yeah.
Really stressful, but you're like waiting and praying that, and what we do is we look at the firewall and the modem. Was there data leaving the practice, what we call uploading, right? Like we're doing right now, where this podcast being recorded, it's being uploaded to the cloud. So if we look at the firewall or where you guys are recording, you're going to see traffic going out.
Okay.
So if we do an investigation and we see there's no traffic leaving the practice, it's very easy to prove no exfiltration.
Hey, quick break here. If you're enjoying Just a Couple Dentists, don't forget to follow or subscribe wherever you're listening. It's the best way to keep up with new episodes and hear us argue about dumb stuff and complain about dentistry. And trust me, you don't want to miss that. Now back to the show.
So we just went over the 2 scenarios, right? Data stays in your practice, not a breach. Data leaves your practice, exfiltrated is a breach, right? And that scenario B is new, and that's why things are pretty scary right now in terms of that. But it doesn't have to be. If you do, honestly, like the bare minimum stuff, antivirus, firewall, email security, you shouldn't really have to deal with this. Again, this is you're on vacation, you don't have a security system, you left your front door open, and stuff got stolen scenarios. This is most of the hacks. So going back to this office, Brad, the IT guy, right? Awesome guy, always brings the staff coffee, but is not doing anything from a security standpoint because he works for coffee shops and a bagel shop and an auto repair place, in addition to the one dental practice in town. And so he's not really thinking about antivirus and firewall or any of the compliance things that happen. So when the staff clicks on that UPS download link and ransomware spreads, there's nothing to stop it.
Yeah.
Right. What is supposed to happen is the staff clicks on it and advanced antivirus tools run now pre-execution of the program. Right. It's not a cat and mouse game.
Yeah.
Right. So before cat and mouse is, I clicked on it, ransomware is now spreading, now go catch it and try to stop it, but it's causing damage. Pre-execution means you double click on a program, it gets ran through antivirus even before it opens. Scans it to be clean, and then releases the file if it is clean, or quarantines that computer if not. So pre-execution prevents 99.9% of ransomware from even happening.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So it's, again, this is kind of like, it's not very expensive. It's cheap to do, but like dentists get in a lot of troubles because small town, this is the IT guy. I trust he's doing what I need him to do, and you don't really question it. So getting a risk analysis done, if you get cyber liability insurance, they'll make you go through that process. Just a good gut check to protect your practice on that. So that is basically how a lot of hacks happen. Staff is not trained or has their guard down because they're doing a billion things. They click on it, they bring it to the office, and then if you don't have the security controls inside the office, it spreads to every single computer. And then, of course, if you don't have a backup system, then you do have to negotiate with them. Otherwise, option B is you lose all of your patient health information. And that's why ransomware is so successful for dental practices, because they do like back a lot of business owners into a corner.
So yeah, that makes sense. So like in our situation, I think we had to go through the negotiation stuff because I think, and you can tell me because you kind of came in and like helped us out with this like after the fact.
Yeah.
I can't remember if we had a backup or not. Or
Knowing
if it was,
you, probably not.
But I'm not.
But like,
but I don't know IT. We already said this.
Yes. I know. So, are we for backups? Because I remember taking like a hard drive. So this is at like the very first practice.
Yeah.
In Newport that we bought, and this server was like, I think it was like old, you know? So I think I was backing things up because I was like, I don't know when this thing's going to like conk out. And, you know, so I remember plugging in my backup, gosh, what are those things called? Like backup.
The external portable hard drive.
External hard drive. Plug it in and then like run it. And like backed it up, and then I like take it, and then I mean, kind of just leave it there, you know, kind of. But I remember doing that maybe a little bit at my other office at Columbine. But is that pretty much what everyone needs to do? It's just the same thing of like put your external hard drive in.
With the USB hard drive swap out process, a couple issues come to mind. One, sometimes staff take them home, or the doctor puts them in their trunk.
Yeah.
Your car gets broken into, you now just had a breach.
Yeah.
That's a problem. Yeah. Ransomware hits your practice. That hard drive is plugged into the server. That hard drive also gets compromised. Your backups are useless. Yeah. And then the third one is you're plugging in the hard drive and double clicking a button and hoping that it actually did the backup. So there's no verification.
Okay.
Right. We have all the files. Awesome. But did the database get backed up? Like for those EagleSoft people that are listening right now, and you have to manually click stop server, back it up. That's what comes to mind. So what we do now for folks that have servers is we have what's called backup and disaster recovery devices, and they are not connected to the server directly. They're more hooked up like a printer is networked. So it's on the network. So there is a gap between the server and the backup system, which is really important. But it also means if your server goes down, the DR of the disaster recovery now can become your server, and you guys can see patients again in 10 or 15 minutes.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Because we had to wait. I remember like it was a panic, and we had to go to like paper charts for like a week or so.
You couldn't do anything.
And then the problem was, it was once you guys even helped take over, it like wasn't an easy solution. It wasn't like 2 days later it's good. It was months of like, because then you ran into the issue of, all right, some of the data came back, and then you had like, and then you'd pull up a patient and you'd be like, oh, their x-rays are here, and then you pull up a different patient and you'd be like,
I know,
their
like
x-rays aren't here.
Yeah.
And it was so challenging to work through that.
And I think with the previous company because the previous IT company got hacked, I think with that, you thought they were doing the backups, right? Or something like that. Yeah. Like, I don't want to just blame you that this is what happened.
No, it's fine.
But
that sounds fun.
You don't know, like, how do you know that the backups are actually like happening?
This is the scenario we're talking about. You guys hired a professional company and you trust that they were doing what they were supposed to be doing, and then something happens.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, yeah, because what ended up happening was, which we've talked about it a bunch, is that they were the ones that got hacked, and then it shot out to all the offices. So like 60 offices in Colorado all got hacked. And then I believe the initial ransom or whatever they were asking for money-wise was to the company. And the company was like, well, we can't pay $2 million or whatever that amount was. And they were like, well, all right, now all the offices, it's on you guys. And so we got lucky that we had insurance. So like we used all the insurance, but I didn't have to pay anything out of pocket. Yeah. But I have some people I knew, and they were screwed. They had to come out with so much like out of pocket, and they had their stuff down for months. This was
a wild year because like there was another company out of Wisconsin an IT company that got compromised, and that made CNN. That was 400 dental practices.
Oh, geez.
And that company was like Suite A, Wisconsin ADA, Suite B, this dental IT company.
Oh, wow.
And like there's that like 2017 to 2019 period was like a really chaotic. And if we use the term anatomy of a hack, the anatomy of all of those hacks were exactly the same. These IT companies did not have two-factor authentication turned on. So the hackers guessed a really easy to guess password, got access to the remote access tool for every single one of their clients, and then deployed ransomware through that. And that's how it happened.
See, I didn't even know that. See, I learned how I was hacked.
I know that was one of your questions too.
Yeah, so that was one of my questions, because I know, like, for practice owners, right? Like we love to be able to, well, we don't want, let me rephrase this. No one wants to continue to do work after work. But when
we're at home
and there's that patient that calls and there's an emergency or the team calls you and you're like, I'm out, and you want to be able to look at stuff remote, right? So I know we've used like ScreenConnect and other companies like that.
Yes.
How do you how safe, are those, and what do you need to do to make sure you're doing that?
Yeah, so ScreenConnect is literally the tool that gave you ransomware, right? But it is also a great tool. It didn't have to be ScreenConnect.
Yeah.
Inside of ScreenConnect, there's a command prompt, and that is exactly how you say run command, download payload, and then you select every single one of the computers in the entire organization, not just your office, deploy, and then you just wait until people pay the ransom and your bank account fills up with Bitcoin. It's so two-factor authentication is really annoying, and that's why the adoption has been so slow. I don't know if you guys are like me and you have an Authy or Google Authenticator and have like one for just about everything out there, and it's super annoying, but it is a really great way not to get hacked, right? So think about, for someone to have to access my company ScreenConnect, they need my username, they need my password, they need my face to get into my iPhone, to get into my Authy, to paste the code within 30 seconds to get in. That's too hard. They don't want to do that, right? But
even now but to tweak on all this AI stuff with companies like HeyGen and stuff like that they can make avatars for you, is that eventually going to be easy for people to just use your face?
Face ID is pretty good. You do need it knows like 3D versus 2D.
Okay.
So they would have to like have your face milled in like one of your dental mills,
like your CAD cam face.
Let's try it.
Or it's like do it. Wait, what? Or like in like the movie Face Off, just do one of those, or like in the Mission Impossible movies where they make the face things really fast and. Yeah,
that's right.
It's coming. It's coming. I know.
But yeah, I mean, it would be, if we did that and we were successful, Apple would pay us because they would be like, oh, there's a security flaw. So hopefully they've thought about that before. But as we were kind of riffing before we started here, AI is the hot, technology item right now, and everyone's building it, as they should, into all of these items. But it's also empowering the bad actors into sending more personalized emails, right? Into having more personalized attack sources and attack vectors. And it's just, AI is amplifying everything, right? There's great stuff happening, and then it's being weaponized at the same time.
Yeah, it's like the same like when the internet started, right? Like there's great things about it and there were terrible things. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, and it's like, if it was really, really awesome on the phone, would you hire people to answer your phones? Probably not.
No.
Right?
Yeah.
No. Why would you? Right. And so dental, we're going to start to see a lot of this stuff happen now. But what has to happen first is the incumbent practice management software companies have to be displaced, because there's only so much you can do with a local server-based thing, right? Install another app and another connector. Think of your iPhone and you have an app store. You don't need to remote in Pokemon Go to have access to whatever. Is it still around?
I don't know. I didn't go. That trend was big when we were like finishing dental school. So that was like what?
Yeah.
Mid 2010s.
Yeah.
I never really got into
I don't know.
it.
If you see people just like wandering aimlessly on the side of the road, flicking their phone,
we saw
Pokemon Goers.
we saw like your brother will still play it, and his wife, and like I was like, why are they?
Yeah.
Why are
they don't have children, so they have time to.
Yeah, and they were like, I was like, why are they just walking around randomly? And they were like, I caught a Pokemon. I was like, oh yeah, that's why. You're not a zombie. You're actually.
I saw Bulbasaur like over in the weeds, so I'm just gotta wander over there.
Yeah.
But you know what? The thing is, you open up your iPhone, you click install, and it's on your phone, right? Mm-hmm. There is no click here to schedule a link with Nextel to remote them into your server, to install a link and put in an API key. So once we get PMS softwares that are true native cloud, and we can just like Mango in, Ring Central in, like all of this stuff. Chat on your website is integrated directly into your PMS software. That is when we're going to start to see AI really pay off in a white hat or a good way.
Okay, cool.
That's interesting. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm assuming people are working on that stuff now.
I hope so,
yeah.
because I'm like trying, like my head's going, like if the main entry point is through email,
Yes.
so it's like, okay, how can I get rid of the person at the front who clicks the emails? so I just like literally right before we came on, I was looking at an app or a AI tool called Fixer.ai.
Okay.
And it like reads all, you install it, so okay, and it reads all your emails, and it can it categorizes them and drafts up a reply automatically.
Yes.
So I'm
Yes.
like, okay, I need this. So I was installing it on my computer, and it was like looking through stuff. But I wonder if like there's a tool out there that it does that, but also like makes sure that like everything's safe coming in. So like really just the filter going to your front office, or if you even need a front office after this, is like it just like responds for you, or it's like, here, these are the ones that need like a human intervention.
Yeah.
That'd be a cool tool to have. I don't know if that.
And there's
exists.
some really good spam filters built into like Microsoft's platform, G Suite, but we still have a lot of dentists using smilesofwashington@gmail.com, right? That's the problem. That's a free service, and it has almost no spam filtering. Again, we're talking about dentists, and this is just a little like, I'm going to get on my soapbox. Dentists, when they're talking about IT, like to brag that they're either paying $0 for IT or like $40, and it's like a pelt on the wall, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, great, but if we're never going to hear from you if you get hacked again, like you're just not going to be here.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah. I mean, that's the one thing. It's like things like you don't skimp on, right? Like I've learned when we had the other people on that talked about like just insurance, right? And having that, right? Like that's something I feel like you don't want to skimp on.
Yeah.
You don't want to skimp on IT. And I kind of relate it back to like, I always joke, like if I was going to go skydiving, I don't know if I would pick like the Groupon, right? Like I might pick like the company that like maybe the most expensive and has the most reviews, not the one that's like discounting their services by 50%. It's just like, just because like the risk is so like, that's so much different than like saying, hey, I'm going to order these like off-brand gauzes, right? Instead of like name brand, right? Like it's a different decision.
Oh, totally.
So it's like, don't like, there's certain things like just don't, I know we all like to be cheap.
Yeah.
Like,
How about,
but like,
you also want to ask the skydiving instructor, do you love your family?
yeah.
It's like, I want to make sure you have something to live for. So
Yeah. What's tying you to like making sure you land on this on
Yeah.
today?
Yeah, let's get out the happiness scale on a 1 to 10.
Yeah.
Real quick, if you're into what we're talking about and want more, check out my newsletter, Just 2 Minutes. It's the dental blog you can actually read between patients. No fluff, no BS, just straight up tips, stories, and insights to help you level up. You can subscribe over at coupleofdentists.com or just hit the link in our show notes. Now back to the pod.
So, I mean, technology, I mean, there's a lot good things coming into dentistry. And the thing is, it's really not that expensive to protect your practice, right? So it's not, for most offices that are not behemoths, we're not even talking $1,000 a month. It's definitely for just the protection tools. Support is usually the most, well, it's the most expensive thing because you're paying a human being to do a thing, just like anything is.
Well, yeah, I mean, like, I know, even for like your company, right? Like, is there a future where you see support being able to be like AI? So like you can have 1 or 2 humans and then you almost have like AI agents, or you have AI people that are answering most of the things. And then when it gets escalated, it has like human oversight.
I think what is going to keep us alive for a very long time are peripherals. And I mean, non-dental and dental. I mean, printers and scanners, because people love to buy $50 printers and $75 scanners that break in 6 months. But then there's like 2 weeks of troubleshooting until we say, you need to buy a new scanner. Like there's nothing we can do. And then sensors and hygienists running over the sensor cables, and it works intermittently, and intraoral cameras. So I think we'll be around for a while, but like if you guys in the future have like a PMS or imaging how-to question, I think all of that will be AI. It won't be because it'll be like, how do I do this thing? And it'll be like, it will just like take you to the thing you need to click click this, then click this, then click that.
Yeah.
And you won't even have to call and talk to somebody at Open Dental for them to tell you how to do that.
Nice.
Yeah, because I think the solution now is like Open Dental's was, let's make a bunch of how-to videos and put them on YouTube, right? Which was like the first iteration of that, which is good because that's, I mean, we use that a lot when we were building our offices. But yeah, I think the next step in that is it's just all of that is already done and it's learned and it just can tell you it. Yeah.
You ever been like signed up for something that's web-based and you log in for the first time and it kind of takes you through the tutorial or like
the tour.
highlights the button? That is exactly how it's going to work. How do I submit a claim? And you click the wizard button and it's going to highlight the button you click on, step 2, and then hopefully the person you hired has some sort of retention, and remembers how to do it. Otherwise, they're going to hit the wizard thing every single time.
Yeah. And then it's like, well, just have the agent do that.
And then the wizard just does it himself.
The wizard just does it. Yeah. And he's like,
wizard.
damn it, get off this computer. I can do this faster.
Yeah.
Let me do it for you.
That's right. Hey, I got a question for you guys.
Yeah, go for it.
What are like the things that you guys are like screaming out off the top of your lungs for technology in dentistry?
I think the biggest thing, we were kind of alluding to it a little bit earlier, is the biggest challenge I think a lot of offices have had is staffing, right? Or team members, right? Like people leave, people are more, I think the days of like, hey, Sally's been my office manager for 30 years. I think there's two arguments there. Either maybe she was never that great to begin with and you just put up with it because you didn't know anything about business. So like you didn't know what you didn't know, or people just move more, right? Like I think that just happens. So I think the more, and I got shit on this pretty hard on like a Facebook post, but like I was like, eventually I think dentistry will just be a model where you need like your dentist. You probably still need an assistant for a while. Like someone to clean teeth, whether that's a hygienist or if now with all these new laws, it's like assistants that can do like profies.
Yeah. We won't get
into then, maybe a person up front that's your closer and your treatment coordinator, and like that's what you're focused on, and then every other thing is just AI. Like you don't need someone to answer the phones, you don't need someone to schedule, you don't need someone to like order your supplies for you. Like you don't need to have people with all those tasks. You can use AI to learn about your practice at such a level that no one else is going to know, and it's going to make it better. That's
the general
thought.
Public might be asking for that. Like I'm an elder millennial. Like, I don't know.
Me
like you too? All right.
Yeah.
So, but like Gen Z, even if they even want to work, do not want to interact with human beings. So if you can do online scheduling and they don't have to pick up the phone and talk to a person, they walk in and like there's a kiosk and they can just check in without having to like interact with another human being. Awesome experience for them. And then they come into like some massage pod that's a hygienist thing and they never have to talk to a human being. That's great.
I agree.
But even like you were talking about it, Alex, you were looking into getting this is we were listening to another podcast and they were talking about how crappy our memories are. Like they were talking about that study, like it was that 9/11 one where it was some famous study where like the things people thought they remembered happened during that, it like wasn't true, right? You forget, you create so many distortions in your head, and the longer things happen, the less you remember it. And so you were looking into that one company that pretty much just, what does it do?
It records your entire everything. So you wear it on you and you just turn it on. And literally it'll record conversations. I think you do have to get consent for if it picks up another person's voice. But you keep it on. You can turn it off if, whatever, but it doesn't pick up background noises or like random, like if you're watching TV and stuff like that, but it will record your conversations and then summarize them. And then you can ask it prompts, like what were the 3 things that I need to get done tomorrow? And it's like, you talked about doing this, this, and this. So it like summarizes your life and it keeps everything very organized.
Well, I mean, have you ever
had... it looks really cool. I ordered it. It's hopefully going to come in like 6 months or so.
Well, I wonder how many times too, like, like there was a time back, a couple years ago when I was like texting Reuben because there was an IT issue and either like, he responded, say some way. And I might've been like, oh, well, screw Reuben. He just sent me a mean response back. He doesn't want to help. Right. And then like I could create this like negative thing. I might look back at that at another time and be like, oh no, wait, he was actually being really nice. Like, I
Oh
feel
no,
like
there
that happens.
was a comma there between
Yeah.
ass and hole.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So like, I think we do that because we have so much human error, right? And our memories aren't good.
Yeah.
That I feel like we make so many mistakes, and I wonder if that'll be the next evolution too. Is that it's going to be a pretty crazy adoption, but like if everything was just like recorded, documented, there would be so many less errors.
Yeah, so that's...
But it's just that people are okay with that. You know, that's...
Yeah.
What do you think, more or less lawsuits? Because then, like, they have the every single conversation you've had with your business partner.
Yeah.
I think
all there.
Yeah.
I think that would help.
I think it depends on if you're someone who, like, it's either going to be really good or really bad.
Yeah, I guess. But like, I could see this, you know, in like in a dental setting. It's like you just have, I don't know the legalities of it yet, but you have something in that your patient signs. Yes, I'm going to be recorded.
There's some soap notes tools.
There are.
Like
so
this.
Plod is another one that is big on like note taking and stuff like that. But I'm just talking about across the board.
No, like give your idea on what would be cool with that. Because if you could record,
someone maybe do this idea, but hit me up if you actually want to do this, because I'll put some money in this. But you wear this throughout your whole office. You record your conversations with your patients. It does your notes for you. It records your staff. So like your treatment coordinator that's talking to your patient, and they're saying, this is, this is the treatment, this blah, 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 this is the price. That's all recorded too. Like every interaction is recorded. And then at the end, it's like, how did my treatment coordinator do? And it's like, oh, well, with patient number 1 that came in, they said this, and that didn't really get received very well. Next time, do this. It's like more
Sales
like a
coaching.
learning tool.
It's like that would be so. You
because
actually have data.
Because before it was me listening outside the room, going trying to take notes and like being creepy.
And then it's you trying to remember it too, and you being able to know all that stuff. If you had AI trained as like a great dental consultant, then it could just give each staff member could get feedback at the end of the day. Like, here's how your calls went. Here's how I would change this, and maybe this would improve it. Do you want to practice that? Like,
totally.
I don't know.
Yeah, and it's like,
and then AI can simulate it.
Yep.
Yeah. And like recalling information. It's like, oh, so-and-so is here today. And be like, oh, here's the morning report for like the patients that are coming in and stuff like that. And you know things that happened. Like, I don't know. Someone
should do like an AI morning huddle thing too, that it's like, instead of you having to go through each patient, it could give you like you could pick, I want this to be 2 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever. And it'll go through and just tell you it. That actually is a kind of an interesting idea.
And then make sure
that tied into your idea about the wearable.
Yeah.
Now you have the personal information to bring up when you walk in for the first time.
I know.
Right?
Exactly.
Kids, one goes to Vanderbilt, right? One goes to Ohio State.
All of that.
Yeah.
It just remembers it all. Exactly. And then like when you're ready to check someone out, it like prompts you or prompts like the iPad that you're carrying around or whatever. And it's like, did they pay?
My orthodontist on the back of my chart back in the day had ask about the Yankees written on there, because every single time, hey man, how's Derek Jeter doing? Right. And I knew it was happening, but I still liked it. I think
absolutely
everyone's like that. No. You're like, I know what's happening here.
Yeah. I don't know if anyone's doing that, but I feel like that could be
if no one's I'll
big in dental.
I'll do it later.
But yeah, that's our thing on what AI will do.
I think so.
Well, I mean, I appreciate you going through and kind of telling us this. I learned a little bit more about what my hack was, so that was nice. I learned how it happened.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think the one takeaway, at least for me, is, like I said, I am inherently cheap on everything, and I am so glad that I never, like, once we brought on Reuben, and not just him, but like any other like legit dental IT companies that are good, right? Mm-hmm. Like, don't just skimp on the IT stuff. Yeah, if it's a couple $100 more a month, like, the peace of mind of not having to deal with, like, what I had to deal with 6 months into a startup when you don't have any money anyways, you don't have any patients coming in, and now you're freaked out that you're going to pay all this money. Like, it was totally worth it. It's not going to happen to everyone, but I'm so glad I never cheaped out on that.
Yeah. No, true.
That's my takeaway.
Yeah.
So thanks.
Well, no, thanks for having me on, guys. Well, if you ever need a dental IT TED Talk, let me know.
Sounds good. All right. Well, thanks.
Bye.